That's the joy about being live. You actually never know what could be around the next corner. That was one snort. I don't think they actually saw anything. Okay, well, let's keep going. So James was wondering what's the largest stampede of buffalo. Well, the biggest herd I've ever seen is one of the biggest recorded in sort of the scientific days. Now, nearly 90% of the buffalo population in southern Africa was wiped out in the 1800s. I think, if I remember correctly, 1880s or 1890s, along with almost all the domestic stock as well. There was a disease that swept through this area called the rinderpest. Now, the buffalo have made a miraculous recovery since then, but the largest herd of buffalo I've seen is, as I said, one of the largest recorded in the last 100 years, and it was in northern Botswana. And so it was so big that the Botswana government sent up an aeroplane and they photographed it, and some poor junior researcher had to sit with a magnifying glass and count every individual buffalo. So there were estimated to be just over 5,000 in that herd, and that was on the Kondo River in northern Botswana. Now, I saw that herd stampeding. We were following that herd. I was actually, I probably was about 16 or 17, and I wasn't driving the car as I am now. I was a lowly tracker sitting on the front of the bonnet, and my dad was driving, and we had guests at camp, and we followed a pride of lions that were hunting those buffalo. This herd was so big that two unrelated prides of lions were hunting these buffalo from either side, and what happened is this massive meet in the middle. There was absolute pandemonium. Unrelated lionesses in a tree with buffalo trying to hook them while they tried to whack each other. It was definitely one of the most memorable sightings of my life. And those lion prides split, and later on each of them actually killed out of that same herd. That was a long time ago. I mean, the late 90s. Well, speaking of a buffalo, we're going to keep heading towards where I hope they're going to pop out. While we do that, Jamie's found some pachyderms for you.
The pachyderms kind of found me in that I went around the corner on the road towards the lions and encountered an entire elephant herd roadblock. I'm just waiting for the final, what I think is the final member of the herd, to come around this termite mound and pop out on the other side. I don't really want to block them from each other. Let's go forward a little bit, since they're all popping out on the other side. I'm sure I heard an elephant here somewhere. Am I going crazy? No, I'm not. Oh, so close. Here we go. Here's the last member of the herd to make its way through. Oh, the elephants are on their way straight towards the lions, but we're just going to have to wait for the moment. This is quite a dense drainage line, which means that we don't have much of an escape route, and the elephants don't have much of an escape route if they feel trapped or unsettled, and there's another vehicle on the other side of them. So we're just going to sit patiently for now and wait for them to move across. What a nice morning it's been. Leopards, elephants, soon lions, hopefully, unless the elephants chase them into the drainage line before we get there. Go investigate what's happening there, since you don't seem to be showing any signs of movement. Seem to be quite happy there. Luckily we've got the gentle sound of Jigger's brakes to accompany us, and despite our best efforts of replacing the brake pads, are still a little squeaky. think it might just be new brake pads that are causing that squeak. There we go, there the Ellies.
Jamie, you can come past him.
Copy that, thank you. Do you want to, I'll move back for you, you can come past me. I'm probably going to go around these Ellies. He's a little one at the back. I don't really want to squeeze through there. Let's rather move back for the other vehicle. Oh, now she moves off. There we go. Morning! Hi everybody! Good morning. Enjoy. Just saying good morning to the wonderful community of the Northern Sabi Sands. Go off and get to the lions before the elephants do, because I have a feeling that if they do encounter, in fact I know if they do encounter them and they're just ahead of us through this dip, they are going to chase them. So let's rather catch up, let's get ahead of the elephants and catch up with the lions. Good morning. Oh, it's doing its display, it's doing its display, it's doing its display. I see you, little puffback shrike. It's... ah. Try again. It's got its puffback out. There it is, got it. Come on, keep your puffback out. There we go. We hardly ever get to see that, even if it was a brief moment. The two puffback shrikes are having an argument with each other, and I'm sorry, they're not called puffback shrikes anymore. They are called black-backed puffbacks. Because of that incredible white feathering puffing bit. Oh, we've got a weaver. Red-headed weaver, actually, but without the red head, a female. Where's the puffback gone? Ah, well, we got to see it, albeit very, very briefly. Been trying to get that on camera for ages. Got the bill snapping and the whistles. Click, click. Okay. The bird feeding party almost immediately moved off as I stopped, but hopefully you did manage to see the puffback shrike male with his back all puffed out. They've also got beautifully bright red eyes, and they're very interesting to look at, those birds. I'm having a good chuckle from Liz in Wisconsin's question, which is a very good one. And the reason I'm chuckling, Liz, is not I'm laughing at your description, because I know exactly what you mean, but because we've recently been doing literal readings of bird calls in the bird book as written by ornithologists. And you wanted to know if the chick-purr bird is back. The chick-purr bird is not back just yet. The chick-purr bird is presumably the woodland's kingfisher. Chick-churr! Chick-churr! That's the sound I presume you're thinking of, Liz. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've got the cuckoos back, we've got the European bee-eaters back, but we do not yet have the woodlands back. So that's the next one to tick off our list, as well as the southern carmine bee-eaters and the European rollers. And then I think we've almost completed, well, I say we, the migratory birds have almost completed their journey. Right, where are these lions? Somewhere here. Oh no, Liz, chick-purr bird's not back yet. Okay, I'm just going to concentrate carefully on finding the off-road tracks and working out where these lions are. Hopefully I haven't driven past them already, so while we do that, let's head across to Brent for an update.
Well, we managed to lose about 600 buffalo. It looks like they changed direction. They didn't head towards the pan. So we're going to start heading slowly back towards Thandi, and then from there back towards Djuma. We're going to go on the road, one of the roads we haven't driven yet on Chitlands. The northern section of Ingwe Road. Or the western section, sorry. The wind's starting to pick up again, but there's literally not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful morning so far. I'm afraid, unless we get very lucky, the leopard record of 5 leopards in one drive remains safe. Who knows? Could Thandi's little cubs be there? Could Thandi's little cubs put it to 6? We shall see. We shall see. Remember, we're on a live safari, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV on email. Now, Alyssa in New Jersey. Oh, it flew behind us. Darn it. Alyssa in New Jersey, it was a lilac-breasted roller flying over us, is wondering, why is Thandi never ready with her cubs? Well, she is, it's just we don't see her with her. You must remember, such a small portion of Thandi's territory we have access to in terms of traversing. And luckily for us, we do see her on Cheetah Plains and sometimes on Gowrie Main. Now, quite often when the cubs are young, she will leave them in a place for up to a week at a time before moving them. And now they are old enough to eat wheat. I think they're about 9-10 weeks old now. They're about just over 2 months old. So they will already be eating meat. But on a small carcass, she might think it's probably worthwhile her finishing the carcass and then going to feed them milk. She might think it might be too risky. Maybe she heard quarantine. There's a whole various groups of different reasons why she would leave her cubs hidden. Now, when a female leopard is away from her cubs, they are very, very still. They don't move around too much, and they're very camouflaged. And she can't take them out with her hunting. That would be far more dangerous than leaving them in a secure spot. Of course, no place out here in the African bush is truly secure. Another animal might find them, but it is the best for the potential survival of those cubs. Now, it's to say, those cubs could have been there. They could have been sleeping in the thicket nearby, and you see cubs do that quite often. Morning, morning, morning.
How are you?
Very well, and yourself?
Good, good.
It's a very makulu hlabe on Kruger boundary heading west.
West, it was
Into the block before, between this. They go from Mala boundary almost all the way to the next year, but they haven't come out yet.
okay.
Enjoy.
Thandi there, but
Lutumantuan.
Lutumantuan. I stayed there maybe like 30 minutes, no sign.
No sign of the cubs.
She's not even looking like she's just
Sleeping.
sleeping. You were there yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, from there where that Marula to is
Same place.
somewhere behind the military mount.
Perfect. I'm going to have a look now. Thanks. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so there we go. Just a bit of a quick morning meeting. As you know, there's some buffalo. It's been sitting there for half an hour, no sign of the cubs. But speaking of cubs, I think Jamie has happened upon some.
I have found some, and some adult lionesses as well. It actually wasn't terribly difficult. I just followed the off-road tracks. I could see them from the road. A pile of sleeping lionesses. 2 adult mothers of the cubs, 1 Amber Eyes and 1 Birmingham boy. Looks like number 3 with his split lip. Where is it? Can't actually see properly. Yes, that's him. The big scar on his upper left lip, where he had an enormous gash that you could actually see his tooth through when he initially got that injury. A nasty wound. It was clearly hurting him in the beginning. We were just starting to see the cubs come out, and could see him being very, very careful not to let any of them anywhere near him and his injury. Now, he's the sort of regular companion of the Nkuhumas, along with the 4th Birmingham boy. There we go. A beautiful, contented scene. I can only see 6 cubs, but I have no doubt that all 8 are here, just perhaps hidden behind the massive bellies of some of the females, and all of them looking round-bellied and content. I love the little one at the back. Something so special when lion cubs sleep that way. And they've enjoyed a full meal of buffalo. Obviously, what was left yesterday evening wasn't enough to sustain the whole pride, and they moved off. The rest of the lionesses, one lioness is missing. She's presumably off hunting. I mean, obviously there's 2 lionesses missing, but I'm pretty sure that the youngest lioness, who wasn't there yesterday on the sunset safari, I'm relatively certain that she's mating with one of the Birmingham boys, which means that the remainder are only missing 1. She might even be here somewhere in the shade, perhaps taking a break from the cubs, as Auntie Amber Eyes often does. She's here at the moment, giving her elbow a thorough clean. I've never seen the answer to this question that Siberia Zumi has asked. It's a very good one. Wants to know if there's any wild plants like catnip or lavender that the cats respond to. I've never encountered any out here. However, I can tell you that from some experiments that were conducted, that big cats do respond to catnip, or at least certain big cats do respond to catnip in the same way domestic cats do. I would never do it, just because I think that it would be unethical for us to try and test that reaction. As you know, not all domestic cats, well, I say as you know, I only learnt this recently, not all domestic cats respond to catnip in the way that has become such a famous reaction, them rolling in it and jumping on it. They do like strong-smelling smells, though, so they will go and roll in the strong-smelling plants occasionally, things like the wild aniseed, what's it called? The aniseed scent. Oh, it's just gone out of my head for a second. As well as things like the wild sage and basil that we get out here. So they do roll in that occasionally, but I've never seen them go have a sort of a silly moment where they seem to be, what would be the appropriate description? Slightly out of sorts in response to the smell of a plant. Let's just put it that way. Apparently they do respond to catnip, or at least certain leopards have been known to respond to catnip. There's a test done with some biologists that put them out on posts along with camera traps, and I'd love to have seen the images that they captured. And we wouldn't do it, but you can imagine it would be entertaining. We wouldn't do it because it's not ethical, but it would be thoroughly entertaining to watch. And Karula perhaps having a wonderful time rolling in catnip, all the lionesses enjoying it. Amber Eyes is giving herself a thorough bath. Oh yes! I didn't see that because I'm looking into the sun. Oh, little one, is that just the most comfortable spot ever? Resting between Mom's back legs, a pillow and a blanket all rolled into one, and a convenient leg rest for Mom. So sweet. They really have provided us with endless moments of joy, these lions. Snoozing away with massive bellies.
Morning mobile station, Leopard.
Our interesting username on this lovely Tuesday morning. Ergag. Ergag, you wanted to know whether or not a lion would ever forget where they have left their cubs. No, I don't think that they ever forget where they've left their cubs. I think they always know. They always have a good idea. They do occasionally come back and find that the cubs are not exactly where they've left them. If, for example, a herd of elephants has come through and chased them. And one interesting afternoon, not too long ago, one female came back to fetch her cubs and couldn't understand where they'd all gone, and presumably that was because another female had come to fetch them as well. Lions, male lions, on the other hand, could not be less bothered by where the cubs are. They just tolerate them when they happen to find them. So Ergag, no, I don't think they forget. What does happen, and we've seen it happen not too long ago, is sometimes the little cubs get a little bit too adventurous. We've seen it with the Nkuhumas, and we've seen it with the sticks as well, with slightly more dramatic effects with the Nkuhumas, where two little cubs went running ahead, I think thinking or predicting that they were going to water, and they got overexcited and off they went on an adventure, only to find that they couldn't find their mothers or the rest of their pride. And that resulted in an almost 3-day separation for those two little adventurers. Luckily, somehow, miraculously, they managed to find their way back. Now, in that situation, the females called a few times when we encountered them later that morning, with all the cubs gambling around the waterhole. They didn't seem to realize, though, or they didn't seem to be too frantic about the fact that they'd lost two. And we had a long discussion. We still haven't really come to a conclusion as to whether or not lionesses, they know when they're missing their cubs. They know when they're missing all the cubs, and they know when they're missing all of their own cubs. Because of course there's 3 different age groups here, 3 different sets. But can they count? Do they know when they've got 6 cubs gambling around that 2 are missing, and it's not 8 cubs gambling around? It was hard work keeping track of that many cubs. I don't know, we never really found the answer to that, but there was a joyous reunion when Hansel and Gretel returned back to the pride when they were with Brent. And that is a story that I think Brent will always remember in the moment that he was there for the reunion. And speaking of Brent, he has made his way to another of our wonderful mothers. Let's go see what Thandi's up to.
Well, Thandi's up to the snooze, and I don't think the cubs are here. I think that the carcass has been too small for her to bring them here. She's nearly finished that whole dike already. And for those of you who might be new, we're on a live African safari, lying about 10 foot away from a female leopard who's using a stick as a pillow at the moment. And if you'd like to ask me any questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, you've seen Karula and Cubs this morning with Jamie. Can you believe that this beautiful female was once one of those cubs? She was from Karula's first litter, and she is now a mother of her own to 2 cubs. We're hoping she might have brought the cubs here overnight, but I don't think so. A peaceful moment with this female leopard. So I'm pretty sure she should probably move back to the cubs at some point today when she's finished that diker to go feed them. It's a tired kitty. Morning, Maya in Johannesburg, South Africa. Maya's wondering what the average weight of a leopard is. Well, if we look at her, she's a relatively small female, but probably a good indicator of average. I'd say she probably weighs between around 40 kilograms, or 45 kilograms, so about just under 100 pounds. And in this area, that is probably average sort of weight from 35 to 45 kilograms for a female leopard. Male leopards, a bit more variant from about, although we do have big males in there, I'd say probably 75 to 90 kilograms is our variant on the males, 90 being on the big side. Most males probably between 80 and 85 kilograms. Now that's for this area. And it is, leopard weights are very, very variable depending on where in the world you are, or in Africa you are. Let's stick to African leopards for now. And so if we take Cape Town, for example, well, let's do Cape Town last. If we take the Miombo woodlands of southern Tanzania and central Zambia, your average female will probably be a little bit smaller, around 30 kilograms, and your average male between 65 and 75. Now that's all to do with prey availability. So if there's a lot of small to medium sized game, like we have here, you get big leopards. Now if we take the Western Cape, the Cedarburg mountain range, the mountains outside Stellenbosch, now there are leopards living there, and some people like to call them a Cape mountain leopard. It is not a separate species, it is just a leopard. It is just got a different genre. It looks like he's broken the camera.
No, there's a hair
There's a hairy caterpillar on the camera. He doesn't want to touch it. Just be careful with. So he's. It's on his eyepiece. So luckily he spotted that. He's using a stick to remove the hairy caterpillar now. Because if he had put his eye down there, it would have been very, very bad. Well, hopefully he can catch it. We can have a look at it once he's finished removing it from his camera. But we'll keep chatting about leopards while he does that. So what people call a Cape Mountain leopard is not a different species at all. Oh, there's a little yawn. It is just that they do not have large to medium-sized prey available. So those leopards eat quite a lot of insects, birds' eggs, rodents, and things like that. Oh, Jandre's friend is in a hurry. Now, we are very lucky that Jandre didn't. Oh, no, don't go that way. That Jandre didn't put his eye against that, because those hairs would have gone into his skin and caused massive irritation. But they are quite pretty. Generally, these hairy caterpillars belong to one of the moths. I'm not sure which species. I might take a photo of it just now, see if we can identify it. If it decides to stop moving eventually. Let's put him over there. Sorry, Jandre, I'm just trying to... how many pens do we have in our car? It's not mine, it's Jandre. Jandre, how many pens do we have in the car? Jandre, why have you been chewing your pen?
It's not my pen.
I can see you've been chewing the pen, Jandre.
There's the caterpillar.
Jandre saying, look at the caterpillar, don't look at the pen.
No, the caterpillar chewed the pen.
The caterpillar chewed the pen. Okay, it's the hairs. Oh, Thandi's up. Let's just, well, focus on the caterpillar a little later. Let's focus on the lovely female leopard we have next to us. Now, we often get asked about this. If an animal is full from a kill, will they make a second kill? Well, Elizabeth's asking, will they make a second kill to provide for the cubs? Elizabeth, even if she didn't have cubs and something happened upon her, leopards are opportunists. She would definitely try and make a second kill. And if it was a bigger kill, she might bring the cubs to it. But again, as I'm saying, even if she didn't have cubs, she would definitely make a separate kill. All predators are opportunists, and if they get the opportunity to make multiple kills, they will. But now she is snoozing, probably digesting a bit so she can finish off. There's not much left of the duiker, just a little bit of the hind quarters. But we're going to leave the wonderful Thandi and start heading back towards Djuma. So when we do that, let's go to the incredible Nkahuma Pride.
The incredible Nkahumas are having a relaxed Tuesday morning, with Amber Eyes still busy with her morning ablutions. I think that paw is thoroughly clean now, girl. All in all, they are well and truly relaxed. In fact, you couldn't look more relaxed than this Birmingham boy currently looks. Exposing his belly to the sun, thoroughly comfortable. Oh, we've got one head up from the cubs. Going to find a nice spot in the shade next to Mum and all the siblings. Amber Eyes still devoted to now cleaning her chest. Snarling at the flies, batting at them. I think you're fighting a losing battle there, my girl. I know the feeling, though. That's a beautiful view of where the name Amber Eyes comes from. These lions are unpredictable. Apparently there is a big buffalo herd at one of the close dams. I'm not sure if it's Twin Dams or if it's at Voyatella Dam. Either way, there's buffalo around once again. The incredible Nkuhumas, as Brent has termed them, have never been known to turn down the possibility or the opportunity to have a meal, even with full bellies. Look at these two little cubs lying together on the right. Finding a comfortable spot. Hold on a second, let's just look at Amber Eyes' belly. Still hoping that our theory is correct. Perhaps the reason for her up and down discomfort is that might just be a belly full of buffalo, but I don't think so. I think that's a belly full of cubs and a buffalo at the same time. I think that Amber Eyes is pregnant, and that is a very exciting prospect. And she's now thoroughly devoted to doing her morning yoga, so that she can reach her hindquarters and give them a jolly good clean. Wish my back would twist in that direction. Sure, well, maybe I don't. Looks like a really nice stretch. Look at the way what direction her paws are facing in. Oh, up, off to find more shade. Good luck with that, girl. The cubs have got it all. Standing, staring off into the distance, and probably trying to work out how she's going to find a spot to lie down in. Gentle, nuzzled greeting to one of the lionesses. Oh, I'm going to lie on the cubs. I'm going to sit on the cubs. If they won't move for me... Oh! Shame, little cub. Oh, you don't miss with Auntie Amber Eyes. She'll just lie down on you. It's a good 150 kilograms that just lay down on that cub's head. Nice. The lions have never been too bothered by personal space, and the cub, none the worse for his traumatizing experience, has found a different pillow in a different spot by just lying on top of one of the smaller cubs. All in all, lions demonstrating their true social nature. You're quite comfortable there, girl. Now that the pesky cub has moved. She didn't even lower herself gently, did she? It wasn't a gentle motion. She just flopped. Quite the rude awakening for a slumbering cub. Never fear, though. All is well. Yes, you. No need to look so disgruntled. You're okay. Lion cubs are thoroughly resilient creatures. Right, back to sleep. Nap time it is. With everybody settled once again in their respective spots, whether earned or not, quarantine male leopard, presumably not the actual quarantine unless he's found a spot to tweet from in Mala Mala, quarantine male leopard would like to know when was the last time we saw all of the Birmingham boys together, those scoundrels. You know, I think we nearly had all 4 of them together the first night of the Mara week. We had 3 of them, we had 3 of them together with the Nkuhuma Pride. Then they were all sort of, it turned a bit chaotic because it got dark and we couldn't keep track of everybody. But when I left that sighting that night, I came across Blondie a little bit later. I think it was Blondie. I can't quite, my memory doesn't serve me exactly. But I'm relatively certain we nearly had all 4 of them together. But they weren't quite together. They were still separated by a little bit of distance. So it's been a long time since we've actually had the Birminghams all gathered in one spot. We've seen 3 of them together on regular occasions. 2, 3, and 4 are often around here with the Nkuhumas. And 3 and 4 are the ones that we see most frequently with the Nkuhuma Pride. I suspect that number 4 is the one that's usurped the position that number 3 was holding with the young female. It has been a very, very long time, and that's pretty standard. It's a big coalition. 4 members is quite a lot of lions. It's not massive, but there's lots of them, and they've got a big territory, and they've got at least 2 prides, although they do occasionally spend time with the Torchwood females as well. They have been seen recently with them on Torchwood. So they have to patrol, they have to keep control of the various corners of their territory, and as a result, we no longer see them all together. That could change in a heartbeat. If a threat happened to descend upon their territory in the form of other males coming in from another area, the call to unite once again would be heard far and wide, and we'd probably find all 4 Birmingham boys back together. But of course we don't know what goes on at night. Oh, little one. That's just the perfect spot. Got tired of sleeping under Mom's leg. Now using it as a chin rest. We don't know what happens at night. They could come together each and every, or regularly, to check in. I think that they probably do, before moving back to their respective posts. I often see tracks of lots of male lions walking together, but we haven't seen them around together in a long time. And of course, that's the future that awaits our lovely little Nkuhuma cubs. Not just yet. We've still got some time with them, being young, fluffy, and innocent. But already we have 3 males, and with Amber Eye's potential pregnancy, possibly more on the way. And of course the young Nkuhuma lioness mating again. They could end up making a very strong coalition. That's of course if they all survive to adulthood. They're not out of the woods just yet. The Nkuhumas do incredibly well, keeping their youngsters fed and healthy. But the wild is a harsh place. We hope, of course, that they all manage. I think it would be wonderful to see the massive Nkuhuma Pride, the fearsome lions of the northern Sabi Sand moving around. They already number 13 members, soon to be more. We're going to be treated to some amazing scenes. Sorry, Ephraim, you're welcome to make your way in. Okay, we're going to have to do some shuffling around. How are we going to do this? Let me think. I think if we go forward, Ephraim should be able to squeeze in on my left. Readjust myself. Got very comfortable in the car in the morning sunlight. It's been a lovely spot. Oh dear. I say I got very comfortable. Now I'm very uncomfortable. Tangled in my earpiece. There we go. Okay. While we shuffle around, let's head back over to Brent for an update on his side.
Well, we're motoring more than shuffling at the moment. We're heading back towards Djuma. maybe we'll pop into Queen Karula and the Cubs for a little while before the end of drive. Maybe we might see elephants as well. And who knows what will be next. Oh, I'll tell you what will be next. The elephants have pushed a tree over the road. Naughty elephants. There we go. Fortunately, not too difficult to scoot around this one. This wind has really been strange for this time of the year, and also the fact that it's staying so cool. Well, relatively speaking. For us, cool is 28, 30 degrees Celsius. To get really hot, it's got to sort of get over 35 before you even start worrying about it. Now, we had that little hairy caterpillar that tried to eat Jeanre's eye earlier, and Jennifer in San Francisco is wondering if I've actually never realized. One second. Well, let me finish with Jennifer quickly before we look at this. Wow. But anyway, so Jennifer. Sorry, I got so distracted. I've driven past this thing 100 times, never seen it. Well, I've seen it, but not seen it. So Jennifer's wondering about that caterpillar become grey or will it become colourful? Difficult to say. It can be both. Almost impossible to say unless I can find the species. Now, look at this tree. Isn't it beautiful? And I think it's the biggest version of this tree I've ever seen. Anywhere. Now, and you zoom in on some of the pods there for me, Jean-Ray. And you can see there flat pods, bipinnate leaves, very distinct bark as well, which we'll look at in a second. There we go. Now, this is the nearly impossible tree quiz of the day. And it's definitely the biggest nearly impossible tree quiz we've ever done, just due to the size of this beautifully massive tree. Now, as I said, this is the biggest of this particular species of tree I've ever seen in the Sabi Sands. And it's probably 20 meters. Let me just try to work out 5, 10, 15 to 20 meters tall. Massively beautiful. So if you know the name of this tree, let me know. Questions at WildEarthTV or #Safari Live on Twitter. The nearly impossible tree quiz. Okay, let's keep moving. I mean, we don't ever really stop at this tree because this is on Gowrie Main and we cannot traverse either side, so we generally sort of trying to get back to Djuma or get to Cheetah Plains, that we just sort of don't really notice that tree before. But what a spectacular tree. Okay, let's go see what Jamie's plans are for the rest of the sunrise safari.
And look what we have here. Our elephant herd from earlier has popped out, making their slow and somewhat lumbering way towards the water. I think we'll stick with them for a little bit enjoy the sight in front of us. Isn't this just such a typical, beautiful African image? Several very large bottoms walking along the road in front of us. Of course, we immediately think of Taylor's Bums of Africa hashtag. One large, one very, very tiny, and two medium-sized ones. Little boy walking in front. Oh, with the odd split off to the side to go and enjoy some lunch. Breakfast, actually. I think let's go. It is, isn't it? It is. It's our favourite friend. A half-trunked Ellie, who's not quite half-trunked. She's sort of 2/3 trunk Ellie and her little family. Let's go and catch up with them. And one extra person. I mean elephant. Close enough. One extra elephant added to her family. So this will all become much clearer for our new viewers, and I know we have a few today. Oh, Sabi Sands is so windy at the moment. This will become much clearer for our newer viewers once we get a little bit closer. You'll be able to understand what we're talking about. This is a very special elephant. She's only got 2/3 of her trunk. She's missing the tip of it. Hello guys, I'll come join you. And she's a very special girl to all of us. She's beautifully relaxed. Gosh, if it is her, her calf has got very big. Just stop here for a moment, just to clarify. This isn't her. She's got both of her tusks. This elephant doesn't. This elephant is missing a tusk on her right-hand side. And has got a full and entire trunk. False alarm, everybody. Thought it was 2/3 stumpy trunk, but it's not. And this actually, now that I look at the little elephant calf, it's a male, not a female, as our half-trunked elephant has. And that would explain the extra member of the small herd. It's not the same elephant herd at all. That's okay. They're still wonderful and they're still elephants. Let's go catch up with them. I'm glad we've got a little male calf here as well. Perhaps it'll give us the same demonstration that Brent had yesterday. Little elephant doing this with its trunk. It was amazing. One of the cutest things I've seen an elephant calf do in a long time, and I've seen elephant calves do lots of cute things. If any of you are interested in seeing that, you can visit our Facebook page on Safari Live and have a look. It's so cute. James Richard, we're talking about young elephant bulls, and there is a young elephant bull that's tailing this herd, but is currently on the outskirts. James Richard is saying he knows that there is a necessity for young bulls to eventually leave the herd and move off, but was wondering if there was any circumstances that might prolong the period that they spend, presumably you mean the period that they spend with the herd before they separate. Yes, presumably there would be. I would say any kind of change in the animal's environment and their circumstances might make the young bulls feel more insecure about leaving and more inclined to try and stick around. There'd been a fire, perhaps, or maybe in a drought situation where they're not sure how to go about finding their own water, something like that maybe. Or any kind of human intervention, perhaps in a smaller closed system, elephant herds being moved, darted or anesthetized for treatment, whatever it happens to be, that would probably delay the separation. And maybe just a shift in the elephant dynamics, perhaps no large bulls around, the cows being incredibly relaxed, well fed, not inclined to cause drama by chasing their young ones away. I think it'll be different for each and every single elephant herd in different circumstances. Squeezing under Mum. I want to be that side of you, Mum, so I'm just going to walk underneath you. Oopsie. Slight collision with an older sibling, presumably. Older sister, maybe. Lovely watching the elephant herd dynamics with the babysitters involved. So the young females often take responsibility for looking after younger siblings and cousins, practicing their babysitting skills for future. This large female, clearly the matriarch of the herd, bringing up the rear, making sure that they are all safe and sound. I guess every elephant herd dynamic is different. We've got general rules for them, and elephants are so intelligent and such complex creatures that it differs from individual to individual, presumably. You've got the basic structure, and then you've got different circumstances. They seem to be very tolerant, highly tolerant of our presence, which is wonderful. Ah! I wondered what VM had spotted. A positively prehistoric looking bird, the guinea fowl. Definitely one of my favorites. Watching them move and run is always highly entertaining. Oh, we've got a whole flock of guinea fowl. The eyes of the bush, and the bird capable of laying the hardest egg of any bird out here. Interestingly enough, your random fact of the day. Also, the T-Rex run in Jurassic Park, modelled off the running style of the guinea fowl. There you go, just a brief picture as to what's happening off to the right of us. Unfortunately, our elephants have now stopped in the guari thicket. Oh! Somebody got into trouble there, pushed out of the way. Just heard a brief squeak from one of the elephants. Okay. Not the most fantastic of views of an elephant herd, but keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera, as they are going to start making their way in that direction. Beautiful demonstration, using its tusk in conjunction with the trunk to break the branches. And there we go. Dispatch Griffin, who is back once again to regular viewing of our live safaris. Lovely to have you as always. Well, sorry, that was me taking my foot off the brake. Now, this is a tiny elephant herd. It's only 5 members strong. But you wanted to know how large can elephant herds get, and in large herds are there multiple matriarchs. Now, your standard unit of an elephant herd is probably only about between 10 to 20 individuals, sometimes smaller and occasionally a little bit larger. Other than that, if you see larger groups of elephants, it's either two herds that have joined together, or actually several herds joined together. So you can see hundreds and hundreds of elephants at a time. That is something I have yet to see. I haven't managed to see that in my experience of the African bush. I haven't traveled to the places like Botswana where you could see that. Hey! I'm pushing baby out of the way. Mom looming to make sure that nobody is up to no good. So you could see hundreds of elephants all together. That will be multiple herds gathered in one place with multiple matriarchs. Taking the opportunity for one last snack before moving on and following the rest. I'd love to see large, massive numbers of elephants all gathered together. think that would be a very special sight indeed. Right. Let's go see if there's any buffalo around the pan and wait for the Ellies to pop out. There's some Impala already gathering. Let's see what's happening there. Set the scene for this afternoon's sunset safari. Just trying to work out why these Impala are all bolting about. Oh, hold on, what have we got there? Ah, what was it? Vulture? Yes, that is a vulture. Indeed, it is a vulture. It is a white-backed vulture. And I think they've all been gathering around that buffalo carcass on Zoe's Road that we had yesterday. There we go, Siberia Zumi. You were asking for a bird of prey. Well, it's definitely a raptor species. And mostly scavengers. Vultures don't... Our vulture species don't really hunt for themselves. But there you go, Siberia Zumi, a bird of prey for you. I did check the Warburgs list on our way through. They're not at home at the moment. They're out hunting. But there you go, white-backed vultures soaring around. And presumably, I saw a whole load of them making a beeline for that buffalo carcass. I'm imagining there's absolutely nothing left at this point. It heated up quickly this morning, so the vultures have been able to thermal, which is what those ones were doing there. Hot air currents rising off the ground, immediately providing them with the impetus they need to get up and into the air. And one large buffalo bull. Now, of course, a buffalo bull is a massive animal. It's only really lions that are capable of hunting a big bull like this one. But Virginia and Kentucky talking about hunting and the different animals, and of course we had the Impala sprinting around earlier. Now there's not one Impala to be seen while I'm trying to answer your question. But Virginia in Kentucky, what is the smallest predator that is capable of hunting an Impala? Are we talking about adult or young Impala? So jackal have been known to actually hunt in packs. It's quite rare, but you do get it in certain areas where families have learned to hunt together and take down Impala. It's usually young Impala, though. It's usually the, what are they called again? Lambs. I forgot what English word I wanted to use. It's usually the lambs that they go for. Caracal and to a lesser extent serval. It's more caracal because they're much bulkier cats. They're stronger cats. They would be the ones capable of catching a small Impala, but not a full-grown Impala. If you're looking at full adult-sized Impala, probably the cheetah or wild dogs, actually. Wild dogs are pretty small, but there's sort of lots of them in numbers. That would be probably the smallest predator capable of catching an adult Impala. Yeah, caracal can do it. It's rare though. It's usually the lambs they go for, or the sub-adults. Caracal can be scary. I've had a tame, habituated caracal take a swipe at me once before. Not an experience I want to repeat. As we trundle on and go and search for what's out there, let's head across to Brent, who is in the Mulwati drainage line.
Yeah, so we're cruising the Mulwati on a river cruise. It's been really good to us over the last while. Well, actually, the last couple of months, well, to me in particular, the Mulwati's been magnificent. Had the Styx pride to chase Kudu while I was sitting on the bonnet. Had Karula and Cubs twice now. Had Karula by herself twice. Trying to think what else. Inkahumas, lots in the Mulwati below the Gari Dam, and I just like it as well. Also a great spot to do a bit of birding. And there's a bird that we don't see too often. Oh, don't fly away. Oh, even better. Now this is a bird oh, there we go, got him. Now it's a bird we don't see too often. I think this is probably only the second time we've got a clear view of it. Well, with me anyway. It's a Karachani thrush. So that's why I like the Mawati. Good birding, good leoparding. There he is, hopping around behind there. You can just see his tail flicking. Now it looks like the nearly impossible tree quiz is definitely an impossible one. And no, there he is, onto the right. Whoop, gone again. And so far we've had knobthorn, marula, all sorts, all wrong. It's a massive specimen of that tree, and definitely the biggest one. I'm trying to think of a bigger one I've seen anywhere. I don't think I've seen a bigger one anywhere. Actually, maybe I have seen one similar sized one, but so far not. It is not an acacia, even though it looks like an acacia. That's the only clue I'm giving. So the other thing is that we're gonna, as we cruise down the Mawati, we might bump into Karula. I can hear the squirrels going nuts. Ashka is in the right part of the world. She wanted to know, is it a broad pod false thorn albizia? It is an albizia, but it's not the broad pod. Let's leave it at that one then. So Ashka, well done for getting the family. That was really difficult. So very, very impressive there. I'm flabbergasted. But I'll give it away now. It's actually probably the biggest albizia harvey I've ever seen. A low felt false thorn. Normally they're sort of 5 to 10 meters tall. That one was close on 20. Just a really massive individual. Okay. Now where is Karula and the cubbies? I know they were all around this. Oh, there she is. And she's moved that Impala carcass from where we had her. So exactly where the squirrels were alarm calling. And it's already been moved from where it was with Jamie this morning, apparently. Maybe she's thinking about taking it up the jackal. Oh, Andre, do you see what I see in the jackalberry tree? I see a tail and I see some feet. There we go. There we go. So one of the little darlings is up in the tree. There could be another one. Now, Karula's, I'm hoping Karula's going to take it up the tree. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I'm just going to move forward a little bit. Who is that? That looks like Hasana up high. Oh, there we go. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Where's she going? Oh, we can't get a view. She's going to try to take that. There, she's up the tree. Oh, we can't see her. Can you got it? There she is. Sorry, this is really difficult position. It's a very difficult climb for Karula. That's incredible. Look at that. She's hanging. Oh, she nearly fell. She's dropped. Oh, that wasn't very ladylike. Don't hiss at me. It's not my fault you fell out of the tree. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to reposition in case she does try to climb again. She might take it to the back of it. Okay. Now let's see. Oh, that was fascinating. Let's see if she tries again. Or is she going to decide maybe not a good idea lifting into that tree? Oh, where are you off to? I think that's little Hasana from what I can see. She just chose the wrong angle, Karula, to climb there, I think. It looks like she might try again. Maybe she didn't have a good grip on it. See how she's looking up. I haven't seen little Shongile yet. Daniel's. Oh, where's she off to? Sorry, Daniel. I wonder if she's worried that there's a hyena around or something that suddenly caused this impetus to hoist the kill. I think he's going to check something out on top of the bank there. Interesting. Let's move. Okay. While we move, Daniel is wondering how much do they eat in a day. Now, it completely depends on whether they're male or female, and they'll often go quite a few days without eating. So, Daniel, I'm just going to try and find a spot here. On average, a female leopard over the course of a month will eat about 3 to 3.5 kilograms of meat in a day. A male a bit more, around 4.5 kilograms. I want to see what Karula is looking at. And there's a lot of fallen trees in this area, so I'm just going to try to find my way through here. It looks like she might have just found a spot to lie down. After that slightly embarrassing moment. Is. Found a nice patch of cool sand where the elephants have dug up a tree. Giving herself a bit of a preen. Now, Sham's son is wondering, do leopards ever get hiccups? They do. Not too common though. They more get hair-ups and have to cough up hairballs from time to time. She might have been a bit full to hoist that carcass. She's carrying lots of weight in the belly. Yeah, we're going to reposition, see if we can find a Shongila as well. While we do that, let's go back to Jamie and see what she's up to.
Well, Brent is back with Karula and the Cubs. We've just been bumbling around trying to see what we can see. I heard a report of a male lion in this area. I thought it might be quite nice to come and have a look and see which particular male it is. Fortunately, he appears to have vanished into thin air. Maybe checking out a treehouse waterhole, which was what we did at the start of the sunrise safari, is not such a bad plan. Perhaps he's come across here for a drink. If he has, though, he hasn't walked on the road. There's no tracks coming through here. I kind of want to figure out which male it is so we can try and work out which male is with the young Kahuma lioness, because I suspect there's some Kudu very, very far away. I suspect she is off mating. There's one there that might be a little bit easier. Yeah. Hello. Pretty girls. Now, if the lion had walked through here any time recently, they'd probably have let us know. That deep, booming Kudu alarm call. Haven't heard it today. Exceptionally sharp-eyed. She is alert, and she is looking off in the direction of a treehouse dam. Wonder what she spotted. She doesn't look too stressed out. Ah, I know what she spotted. She spotted the morning breakfast stop. Wondered why I could hear voices. Okay, so I'm going to go with the assumption that the male lion is not at a treehouse dam, because there are people there having their early morning coffee stop. We'll go in the opposite direction. That's what she's looking at. Those massive radar ears picking up the sound a little bit quicker than I did. Okay, let's see if we can... Oh, I didn't do that very well. Let's see if we can pick up where this male lion is. Am I about to crash into that silver cluster leaf? Yeah, kind of. Now I'm crashing into it. Liz and Courtney, both of you, I'm thinking that we're looking for the same lion that you're asking about, which is Birmingham boy number 4 with the big hole in his face. And Liz and Courtney, not Lizzie and Courtney, sorry, you were wondering about how he's doing. It's one of the reasons why I'm looking for this male lion now, to see if it is him. That being said, the last time I saw him, he was looking 10 times better. He's still got a gaping hole in his face, but the flesh was all pink and clean looking, like it was growing over, like it was new flesh growing through. It no longer looked horribly infected. It's still hurting him. Every now and again he sneezes and he sort of snorts because it's quite close to his sinuses. So it's not comfortable, but he was looking loads and loads better. Which is one of the reasons I was keen to try and find this male lion, to try and figure out exactly where, or to try and figure out which male it was, and if he is looking, if it is the one with the hole in the face, that he is looking better. But this lion appears to have vanished into thin air. Maybe he meant south. Maybe they said north, but they actually meant south. Let's check. Now, while we check out this side of things, let's go back across to Brent, because a cat in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, or something similar. Let's go and have a look.
Well, we haven't seen little Shongila yet, but I'm sure she's around somewhere. But there's young Hosanna snoozing in the shade of a jackalberry tree. This is the same tree Karula just tried to hoist the killing into unsuccessfully. So as I said, for those of you who might have missed it, just before we came across the leopards, I did tell you what the nearly impossible tree was. It was an Albizia harvii, a low-felt Albizia, just a really, really big one of the biggest ones I've ever seen, and just incredible. And we've driven past it so many times because I think we're on such a mission to get down to Cheetah Plains. We've driven past that tree many times, but in Albizia harvii, or the low-felt false thorn, but a particularly big one, probably about 10 meters bigger than they normally get. There's a beautiful Impala tree, or jackalberry. Now I wonder if Karula's going to attempt to hoist the rest of that kill during the day. I've got a feeling maybe not. What I think happened is the horns actually got caught, and that's what put her off. And you can actually see her claw marks on that little tree. So there's a little russet bush willow next to the big jackalberry tree, and if you look carefully on it, that's when she sort of gripped on when she realized she might not be able to get up. There we go, you can see those scrape marks on the tree. But I don't think too much more is going to happen here. What do you spot? Is it the kill? The kill. Still at the base, in the shade. I'm pretty sure Karula and the Cubs are going to be here come sunset safari time. I'm going to drop back down into the riverbed. Maybe try and get one last view of Shongile. See where she's hiding. Now it's incredible that she's already showing quite a lot of independence at that young age, which is not unusual for female leopards, and so she's probably going to become independent from her mother at a much younger age than young Hosanna. There's the Queenie. Bye. We're going to go look for your daughter. Don't worry, we won't tell anyone you nearly fell out of the tree, Karula. Jessie is wondering how old is Karula. If I remember correctly, she's 11, turning 12 next year. And the leopard... Oh, sorry, I apologize. She's 12, turning 13 next year, which means her daughter, who we saw this morning at Thandi, will be 9, turning 10. Okay, now where is little Shongi hiding? She won't be too far. As I said, she's showing that degree of independence that female leopards start showing at this age, and she won't be as dependent on Mother Dearest as the man who's peering down at us. Here's your sister. He was peering, he's now snoozing again. Full belly. Oh, he probably looks a lot better sleeping than any of us do. Let's move on a little bit. Now, where could that little female be? Oh, while we try and see if we can get a view of little Shongile, Jamie has something else to show you.
Well, we have succeeded in finding the male lion that I have to confess we drove past a little bit earlier. He is so flat that he just wasn't all that visible from the road, and we missed him completely. And there he is, the male lion that we've been looking for in the last few minutes of the sunrise safari. And unfortunately, he is so flat that I can't even fully determine which lion we have here. It is the one with the injury on his face. He's lying on it, which has been the... No, it's not him. We would see it from this angle. It isn't him, is it? Sure, we would see it from here. Looking a little bit closer. He does have a tendency to lie on the injury to stop the flies from bothering it and from going in there, which makes total sense when we think back on that terrible moment when we spotted all of the maggots in it. I'm not sure which Birmingham boy we have here right now, but he does look well and truly content in his shady spot beneath the guarri bushes. To give you a perspective as to where we are, we're probably... Let me just try and work this out quickly. Those lions must be straight north of us, about 500, maybe 700 meters away from us, about 700 yards away from us, in that general direction. Somewhere there. Yeah, roughly there. Probably not going to be able to see them, but you never know. What is that? It's not a lion, is it? No, it's a tree branch. I would have been astounded if we had managed that piece of good fortune, because it would have had to have been timed with one of the lions getting up as well on that side. Though he's not too far away from them. Obviously decided that perhaps a peaceful moment away from the cubs is the way to go. And unfortunately, I don't have much in the way of options in terms of repositioning to get an image of him. And Dispatch Griffin, you were wondering about how he got the hole in his face. The truth is we don't fully know. We don't fully understand, but we were there for the sort of build-up of the injury and at its worst moments. My theory, Dispatch Griffin, and I mean there's different approaches that we can take to this. My theory is that he got scratched, he got a little nick or something similar, and he either got a very serious abscess infection in it, so that it formed a capsule of bacteria, or flies came and laid the eggs in the wound itself, and that's what actually caused that maggot infestation that he had when we last saw him. So basically what happened was he had a tiny little nick, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until eventually the next day we came to him and he'd obviously rubbed it open, he managed to burst it, which made me think it was an abscess and that the fly and the maggot infestation, given the size of them, came afterwards. But the infestation could have caused the massive injury as well. But it basically just, from one day it was a tiny scratch with a very swollen face and it looked very sore, so it was all bubbling below the surface, and then the next day we came back, he'd burst it open and it was really truly revolting. It was crawling with maggots. It looked so uncomfortable. Wave after wave of these creatures crawling in him. And then the next day we came back, well, maybe 2 days later we came back, all of the maggots were gone. And it was still weeping, very badly infected, very, very uncomfortable, clearly, and his face was massive. The swelling on the side of his nose was absolutely enormous, very uncomfortable looking. And you could see he had a temperature. He couldn't settle properly, he was sore, he was uncomfortable, he was grumpy, just in general not happy. But lions are incredibly resilient creatures. It did not stop him for 1 second, both monopolizing the youngest female and feeding off any carcasses that they happen to catch, and kills that they happen to catch. So he's absolutely fine. And last time I saw him, as I said, he was looking well and truly recovered. I was really seriously expecting to see him here. That was who I was expecting, just because the two of them, 3 and 4, have been together in this area for quite a long time. Now I'm thrown off. I'm not quite sure which lion we've got here. One of the Birmingham boys. It can't be him. The swelling, unless he's healed up miraculously all of a sudden, it can't possibly be him. Sorry, I'm just listening. I think that Andrew was trying to call me on the Game Drive channel. Ah, there we go. Never mind. He's managed to get in touch with somebody. Now, we'll have to return here on the Sunset Safari. Obviously, I'm not going to deliberately wake him up by trying to shift my vehicle around or doing something like that. That's not very fair. It's one thing driving round to get a better view and they lift their heads up. It's another thing to try and do it deliberately to try and get their heads up. That's an entirely different story. So we're not going to worry too much about him. We'll check on him again on the Sunset Safari this afternoon. For now, he looks thoroughly settled and peaceful. Will the Nkuhumas kill while in between the sunrise and the Sunset Safari? They've done it before. Who knows? They could well do it again. Unpredictable cats. While our lion snoozes away, he gives us a perfect example of how a Tuesday morning should be handled. And it has, what a truly marvellous Tuesday morning it has been. From the moments spent with the Karula and her cubs in the morning sunlight to the Nkuhumas, the elephants, the African bush has provided us with some marvellous moments. So a big thank you to VM for his wonderful camera work as always. I will catch up with you on the Sunset Safari tomorrow. Until then, have a lovely time and happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian viewers. Bye-bye, everybody.
Because we went for the record, we jinxed the record this morning, I think. So 5 leopards in a drive still stands as the Safari Live record, but don't worry, I think we're going to beat it one of these days soon. Now, great, the Nkuhumas, Birmingham's, Karula and Cubs, Mvula's somewhere around Sydney's Dam, outside of our traverse, unfortunately, but he might come across. I'd like to see the old bullet. And of course lots of Ellies around, big herds of buffalo. Now in my opinion, October is always the best game viewing month in southern Africa, and it's almost always one of the driest months, just before the first rains, although we got a lucky little first rain a bit earlier this year. But it always delivers. The bush is very sparse, you can see well, tracking's not too difficult, and of course the cats are happy because the animals are coming out of a long dry season. Makes it a bit easier for them to catch all sorts of prey, and we've definitely noticed that with the buffaloes. Sometimes, or in the summer months, and a lot of the attempted buffalo hunts we've watched in the past, there's sort of been an even match, lion 1, buffalo 1, and buffaloes getting away quite often. But with this drought, the tables have definitely been turned, and the buffalo are taking a hammering. I'm trying to work out how many buffalo the Nkuhuma have eaten in the last little while. We're going to have to save that for the Sunset Safari, of course. We're coming towards the end of the Sunrise Safari. It's been absolutely spectacular having you with us. Even though Genre nearly got eaten by a caterpillar, he survived. And we got to see Thandi again, which is always wonderful. Karula, Cubs, Nkuhumas, and we're going to make our way towards our breakfast. Genre is hoping for a fry-up, but I think it's cereal and muffins. We have been having an argument. We'll see who's right. But from the whole Safari Live crew, toodaloo, and see you this afternoon.